and to the council in general, and not build on anyone, the color of anyone's skin, and accuse anyone of, taking a position based on the color of their skin. One, I know it to be incorrect, and two, it's not appropriate for anyone.
Bert Newton, followed by Georgia Sanders, who if not here, we'll skip to Jasmine Richards, who if not here, we'll go to Adriana Batista. Mr. Newton, go ahead.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and City Council. Last week, Councilmember Hampton asked for a timeline for the council discussion on rezoning church land for affordable housing. Steve Mermel replied saying the Planning Commission will take it up in January. However, at the September 20th meeting, when Councilmember Hampton asked the same question, Steve Mermel said that the Planning Commission will take it up in November. I went back and reviewed the video. So I would like to have that clarified. And a couple of months might not seem like much, but we have one church that has been ready to go for months. And they have a developer, they have a plan, they're just waiting for the zoning to change to build 52 units of affordable housing. And applying site by site can take a long time. So this zoning amendment, this was headed for discussion last fall. Also, other churches are interested in offering their land for affordable housing and are waiting to see what happens. And the longer we wait, the more possibility there is that we lose sites. They could just go with for-profit market rate developers who have the deep pockets that can take the risk and can wait out the long process of getting a zoning changed. They could get a lot more money for that, but they want to address our housing crisis. So they're waiting on the city to let them do that. So I hope that this discussion will be taken up by Planning Commission in November and by the City Council in December. Thank you.
Thank you. Georgia Sanders is not in the meeting. Jasmine Richards Abdullah is not in the meeting. Adriana Batista.
Adriana, welcome.
You can unmute. Ms. Batista, there you go.
Hi. Hello.
3 minutes, go ahead.
I heard some of the council members discussing again how much of the footage of Anthony McLean murdered was released to the public. And as someone who's received a response from a PRA request that provided additional footage, I want to let you all know that not the entirety was released to the public, and the entirety was not even released through the public records request. This just echoes what we've already been feeling as a community, is that the police department has not been transparent and continues to hide footage, the full story, etc. And this is very, 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 very beyond disappointing. Fire Edwin Dumaguindin, fire all the officers involved. We've heard that there are additional officers such as Officer Rosa and Officer Duncan, who through the footage that was released, we still do not know to what extent they were involved, but we know through the lawsuit that they were involved. And so this just reminds us why it's so important for the footage to be fully released. Fire Officer Edwin Dumaguindin immediately. We expect the interim city manager to fire Edwin Dumaguindin immediately, as this is the city manager's task to do, and the city manager's power can override the chief of police. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Ms. Bautista.
Thank you. Jasmine Richards Abdullah has joined the meeting. We can take her public comment.
Jasmine, welcome.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to echo what the first call, what Adriana just said was all of the footage that Michelle Bonarise was lying, because we've been studying this footage, and Officer Edwin Dumaguindin's full body cam footage has not been released. His body cam starts from when Anthony was already, when he was down the hill and Anthony was already shot. We want the full body camera footage released from the initial stop, from when he told Anthony to get out of the car. That can't be seen. So Michelle Bonarise, I implore you to stop lying. And I implore you guys to actually do your own due diligence. We can actually send you over everything that we receive from the PRA, and we can give it to you guys to do your own due diligence and stop just going off of what someone else is saying. And I wonder why nobody wants to report anything, because you guys release the information. Man, this is like, now I've had several conversations with different members, and you know who you are. I'm not gonna blast you off there, but you know who you are. And you guys yourselves have said that that the PPD is crazy, that they have threatened you guys. So I implore you guys, like, I'm gonna end up blasting y'all because y'all act like we're crazy for saying fire these officers, and you yourselves are scared of these people. And you know, I'm looking, you know who you are. You know what I mean? I need you guys to do something different, because how do you expect us not to be scared of them? And you're scared of them. The city council members have been threatened by the PPD themselves. And you guys are acting like this is not happening, that we're crazy. And now I'm getting angry at this, because you guys are like, it's going time and time and time is long. Like, you guys are acting like the community does not know what we're talking about, and we don't feel these threats. So we're going to echo fire Edwin Dumaguindin, fire Officer Maroney, fire Duncan, fire Rosa, fire Matthew Griffin, who killed Kendrick McDade, who is still running around here threatening members of the community. Fire Officer Newland, Jeffrey Newland, who also murdered Kendrick McDade, and who was also a part of the Reginald J.R. Thomas murder. You guys are allowing murderers who are killing people to be on duty. And I know that the new interim city manager is listening. We're going to be on you. Now it's your turn to fire these officers. And
25 seconds.
I think Victor said it best, right? We're going to start uprising. What it takes is for people to start uprising, but not just a false threat. We're going to start doing civil disobedience, disrupting your money, because we know that that's all you guys care about in Pasadena. And I'm asking you guys to fire these officers, man. I give up the rest of my time.
Thank you. That completes public comment on matters not on the agenda. We still have public comment speakers on item closed session item C.
Okay, let me just say that I would welcome any information that is believed to have not been posted be sent to me. But go ahead. Yeah.
So we'll. I have 6 speaker cards, but 5 are in the meeting. The city council will convene in the virtual meeting to discuss closed session items A, B, C, and D on today's agenda. An opportunity is provided at this time for public comment on closed session items. So we will start to call. Well,
Yeah. 3 minutes.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. We still have closed session.
Okay, so 2 minutes. Jane Ward is no longer in the meeting. Sarah Eggers is not in the meeting. Michael Williams, followed by Heavenly Hughes, followed by Alan Shea. 2 minutes each. Mr. Williams, go ahead.
Can everybody?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Again, I know this is closed session item is about Anthony McClain and the case that's going on. It is, again, imploring y'all, you need to fire the officers that were involved in the murder of Anthony McClain. And anybody that was in a part of the case that knew and deliberately falsified testimony or witness statements about Anthony McClain having a gun. That needs to be done today. I know you all think that this is not going to blow over. You think that this is not going to go wide. You think it's going to stay within just this fringe part of the community. But we already are in motion to put this thing out there so that the whole city and the whole state and the whole country's eyes will be on you, and to see what you do about blatant corruption within the police department. You guys continue to allow this stuff to happen. You allowed it to happen with Kendrick McDade. Even when the OIR report showed that the police committed acts that were against policy, you did it with J.R. Thomas, even though there was reports that showed that the officers behaved disgustingly towards JR before they murdered him.
15 seconds.
You've done this. Now you're doing it with Anthony McClain. Fire the officers that killed him. We need the resignation, the immediate resignation of Steve Mermel, of the Chief of Police, John Perez, and the immediate resignation of Michelle Binaries because of the lack of accountability they provided to the police department and for putting witnesses' information out so that their lives and their family lives are in danger.
Your time has
Do
expired.
the right thing.
Thank you. Heavenly Hughes, followed by Alan Shea, followed by Hiram Cormier Jr. Ms. Hughes, you have 2 minutes. I will not interrupt you.
Thank you, Mark. Good evening. I know it's been a long night. I will have to say I appreciate you all taking this time to listen and hear our voices and address the needs of the community. I want to be sure, though, that you are addressing the needs accordingly, according to what the community is saying, according to what we are demanding. Mayor Victor Gordo, you continue to say several times tonight to not make our statements race-based. Although we have mentioned many of the incidents right in Pasadena that are obviously race-based. So it's hard to not speak about race when it's relevant. I've heard you listen to many statements tonight where people talked about when it was marijuana, smoking, housing, they all bring up Black and brown people. And I don't hear you tell them, don't talk about race. Race is important because we all know the history of Black people here in America. So let's not shun the truth. So I want to be sure, just like was already mentioned earlier, we know that you all will be talking about the murder and the officer involved fatal shooting of Anthony McClain. First thing we would like for you to do is say his name, Anthony McClain. Say his name, Anthony McClain. Can that resonate that his life matters? Can I hear you guys say his name so we can know that you understand that this Black man's life does matter? So the community has requested on numerous occasions that you agendize the case of Anthony McClain. But instead, you guys are deciding to talk about it behind closed doors.
Ms. Hughes, your time has expired. Can you bring your comments to a close?
I thought you said I have 2 minutes, Mark, and you wasn't going to interrupt me.
That was 2 minutes, Ms. Hughes. I'm not interrupting you. I let you go for the 2 minutes.
Thank you.
So I guess I'm going to wrap up. Thank you, Mark, for not interrupting me. I didn't realize that 2 minutes went really quick. I guess when we're talking about race and how it's based here in America, it is a long conversation. Again, what are you guys hiding? Why do you have to talk about Anthony McClain behind closed doors? Agendize the case of Anthony McClain. Fire those who murdered him. Thank you.
Thank you.
Heavenly, and let me just respond quickly. You know, you're right that the impacts of the tobacco industry and others targeting certain communities has come up. And what I'm objecting to is anyone lumping together people around the dais based solely on their color of their skin and making presumptions about their view based on the color of their skin. I think it's wrong to say it about Latinos. I think it's wrong to say it about African Americans. And I think it's wrong to say it about anyone who doesn't fall into one of those categories, including our city clerk, our city manager, and members of the council. It's just wrong.
The next public comment speaker on this item is Alan Shea, followed by Hiram Cormier Jr. Mr. Shea, *6 to unmute. Thank you. 2 minutes, go ahead.
Hello again, this is Alan Shea. First of all, Mayor Gordo, I'm going to have to object to your position. Everything that each one of these individuals have called out to you is specifically race-based. You cannot show one white person that's been shot by a police officer and has not been held accountable. You can only count at best maybe one Hispanic at best that has been shot and has been held accountable at best. All African Americans that have been murdered by Pasadena police have not been held accountable. Please, come on. That's nothing but race-based and the racism that exists. And then you're going to go behind closed doors to have a discussion on something that should be a public discussion because you have video. And the main video that's missing is the one that's showing where Pasadena Police Department brought the gun into the crime scene, set it on the east side of the street. The camera from the Learning Center at La Pineresca Park will verify that, and you won't release that video. The video that shows where Anthony's running down the street and dropped his cell phone is the same camera that will show the police truck bringing the gun in and disposing of it over on the east side. And you guys are going to sit up there and act like that doesn't exist and you can't find it and you can't release it. That's absurd.
30
Again,
seconds.
This is only Peyton Place in Pasadena covering up corruption that should have been disclosed. And the more you do it, the more people are going to come at you like this. And it's going to make Pasadena much more infamous as a racist city. I don't understand why you don't get that. It's perfectly clear. All of you sitting up there should be held accountable if you continue to allow this to exist. There's no reason for it. The video speaks for itself, plain and simple. Your chief of police made a clear statement. The video speaks for itself. Let's not sit up here and play games with that, gentlemen.
Mr. Shea, your time has expired. Could you bring your comments to a close?
Yes, my comment is that you guys should be held accountable on all of this. If that means everybody needs to go up there, everybody needs to go. This is getting so ridiculous. Every week in and out, we're saying the same thing. It's not that difficult.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hiram Cormier Jr., followed by Jane Ward.
Mr. Cormier, welcome back.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. 2 minutes, go ahead.
All right. First of all, I stand by all the callers in demanding justice for Anthony McClain. There's so many things I could say to you, Gordo, about just the ignorance that you're spewing time and again throughout so many of these meetings every time you choose to speak on this matter. First of all, directing comments based on race. How about directing bullets based on race? Let's talk about that. Let's solve that issue first. Let's fire those cops first. Let's talk about that. Now, to the counselors, the council members, all of them have participated in anti-blackness. Even the white people, all of you have. One way you do that is installing and putting behind closed doors this whole discussion. All of the information that came out today, it just confirms everything that we already knew. Is that this is a cover-up. This was a blatant murder, and now you're covering it up. You've been doing that for the past year and some change. The fact that these people's information was published online is insane. That leaves them open to all sorts of intimidation, all sorts of just crazy. It's crazy. If Pasadena is the city of roses, I'll tell you this. If Pasadena is the city of roses, then our blood is scattered all over those leaves. It's all in the soil.
30 seconds.
It's all in the soil. It's entrenched in everything that y'all do. And I just want you to know this. Your cops are corrupt. You are corrupt. On top of that, y'all are not going to win this war. You will lose this, continuing down the path of ignorance that y'all have forged. You will lose every time. It is a new day. It is as simple as that. Pasadena Police Department is a gang. The city council is a gang, obviously. And y'all are ignorant. So defund the police and fire those cops. You can make this all so much easier for everybody, including us, those who suffer, who have been placed at the hands of abuse by your cops for so damn long.
Mr. Cormier
It makes it so much
Jr.,
easier.
it's the time has
So
expired.
make it easy and fire those cops. Have a good night. Stop hiding.
Jane Ward is the last speaker. Ms. Ward, you have 2 minutes. Go ahead.
I so deeply wish that the Pasadena Police Department was as colorblind as you are asking us to be. You're asking us not to notice racial dynamics, and when you don't see race, you cannot see racism, and so that's a convenient position to take. I did not say anything about the viewpoints of anyone on the city council. I was simply noticing who on the council is speaking up and who isn't. As you head into closed session to talk about the case related to Anthony McLean's murder, I want to echo what you have heard repeatedly from the community. Steve Mermel and Chief Perez have the power to fire the officers. We learned this at the public safety meeting. And they could do that if they believed that Anthony McLean's life matters. If they found his needless death egregious enough, like they described the killing in the police killing in Long Beach, but we know that they don't. So the city council needs to do the right thing, to think about Anthony's life, about his mother, about his children, about his own childhood and all the hopes that he had for his life. I am sure he was not anticipating that he was going to die that night, that he was pulled over. It wasn't even him who was pulled over. It was somebody else, his friend driving.
20
his car,
seconds.
and agendize the Anthony McLean case, work around the city manager and the police chief so that you can do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that completes public comment. And let me just say, as someone who grew up in Pasadena, a person of color, I do recall being called different names, whether it was being called a wetback or a beaner. And I recall my African-American friends being called unseemly things. And, I've called people on it growing up. I recall when we would have a couple of characters from the city of Los Angeles outside of the city stand before us and call our city attorney and others by their race, and I objected then. And so I have no problem objecting today when it's done to anyone or anyone around this dais or anyone in this city. And I think we all can understand that, and we should all speak up when it's done. And I'm going to continue to do it because it's wrong. So with that, I think the council is going to adjourn into closed session. And before we do that, we are going to adjourn in memory of 3 Pasadenans who have lost their life but contributed greatly to our city. The first one is at the request of Mr. Wilson, and I join in asking the council and the community to adjourn this meeting in memory of Margaret Peggy York, longtime Pasadena resident, first LAPD deputy chief,